try kidogo kidogo. You know, we must slay and pray.
There you go. Look at, ladies and gentlemen, Niliwambia atakuja, and here you are. And you always have this entourage. You maybe can introduce him as an
this one is my CPO. Yeah, his name is Frank.
Okay, what's CPO?
CPO is Close Protection Officer.
I love it. Okay, as you can tell, things are about to get heated over here.
Yeah.
These are so pretty. Oh my God, actually it's been so long since I received flowers on the show in studio.
Wow.
I really appreciate it. And,
I also brought you a Bible and some of my books before you say I do. I know you are almost there.
Oh my goodness, you should hear the people in the gallery. My director is excited about it. Okay, so first of all, they're flowers and they're so pretty, just like us.
Yes.
In Jesus' name.
Hey.
And then of course we have a Bible. Okay, this is a very big Bible. The ones I've had at home, I think itafanya kazi.
In the New King James Version, itafanya kazi kabisa.
Why did you think of getting me a Bible?
I just thought, you know, the Bible is the foundation of everything, and I just thought it would be something nice to bring as I bring you the flowers every day in the morning before you sleep. At least you can always make reference to the book.
Okay, I love that. Guys, if I've gotten a Bible, I'm sure a lot of you will have a lot to say about that. But also this lovely book. So this one is interesting. We'll talk about it later.
Yes.
Before you say I do.
Yes.
Why did you bring me this one? Surely,
because Saki upigwe character development. You know Nairobi, dust is constant. So
nilijaribu kudate Nairobi kweli?
Nilijaribu nikaenda India. Wakati Nairobi linishinda, I just had to go to India.
Okay, so I guess we all the ladies, man, who are not married. Maybe we should take a look at Before I Say I Do. And this is what you wrote.
Yes.
So did you write this before you met Pastor Caramel or after?
Actually, this one I wrote it before, after all the character development, after all the dust I had seen.
Man, I'd love to know what walikufanyia nini.
Ogopa.
Character development and roundabout in a room.
I know.
And then of course there's this one, Touching Heaven Through Prayer.
Yeah.
Okay, I can tell this is very, very deep. And this one, there's God's Leading Lady.
And you are a God's leading lady.
I love that.
Yes.
I think this is going to be a favorite for me. And then Every Problem Has an Expiry Date.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
Yeah, I just want you, every time you read that book, and Paul, I have a flu kiasi.
Don't worry.
It is always to remember that your conditions are not your conclusion. So it's a book of encouragement, that your condition is not your conclusion. And anything you're going through, it may be lasting, but not everlasting.
Hey, she always has these lines, I'm telling you. Oh my goodness, such a wonderful pleasure having Rev here in studio. She's come with some goodies. I wish I had something for you.
No.
I'll offer you some water.
Oh, thank you. That will be much helpful.
Okay, so ladies, don't go away. We're taking a short commercial break, but we're coming back right here on this Friday. Of course, our feedback is open. Instagram, Facebook, X, talk to us. All right?
Thank you.
All right.
It's an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting
And welcome back to this Friday with me, Betty Kialo. Like I told you, tonight's going to be a fiery night. You know, we have the lovely Reverend Natasha, otherwise known as the Oracle, and she came with so many goodies. I feel really bad that I don't have anything for her. But you know what?
Yeah.
Surprise.
But the water will be good. The water.
No, don't worry. The water is going to come in a few in a few seconds. But I just want to ask you. First of all, you brought for me, of course, the Bible, which is such an honor.
Yes.
But also, you have four books. When do you get the time to be, first of all, Rev, to lead a whole church, to write books, to do Natasha Hands of Compassion, to go abroad, to go meeting presidents. I mean, to also, dancing in your house, doing the home makeup that you love to do, interacting with so many people. Yeah. I mean, how do you go about that? Where do you get the strength?
Yeah, it's all about creating the balance, and it's all about the balance, creating balance for your assignment, for your purpose, and for the things that set your soul on fire. So
all of those things set your soul on fire?
All of them are in alignment with my purpose, my passion, and they make me a whole person. So I just try to live my life unapologetically and just do everything that sets, you have one life to live.
One life.
So you've got to live it to the fullest and to the best. So I really try. Yes.
And also still looking very, very exquisite, very lovely while doing all that.
Oh,
maybe just share with us, what is a typical day for Reverend Natasha? How do you start your day? Do you first go on Instagram or WhatsApp or Facebook? Because that's what,
Kwanza kwa simu
kuangalia. So how typically, just give us a very brief.
Briefly, my day starts with prayer. Every day, my day starts very early, and it starts with prayer. I commit my day, my plans. From the previous day, I already know the events that are going to be running on that day. So I'm already briefed by my personal assistant. If we have a compassionate event, if we have a church event, if I'm going to be in the office, if I have office appointments, if I have other events and engagements or invitations to do, because sometimes you're also invited in various places. So basically my day begins with prayer. And after prayer, of course, I refresh. I do skincare. I also love to, I'm also a baby girl. As much as I'm a woman of God, I also, I'm still in my soft girl era.
And it should be like that for a very long time.
We should age gracefully. My mom is 62.
And she looks fantastic.
Yeah. You can imagine.
Bless her, I know she's watching. It's good. I know her, she's such a lovely
And she's still slaying. So we always say that we must age gracefully.
Yeah, that thing about taking care of yourself, the skincare. When I posted, there's so many comments and we'll be going through some of the, comments and everything.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people were like, is she really a church leader? Na anakaa hivo, anaslay, anapaka makeup, all those things. So why is it important to you? And what do you feel about people saying, oh no, she's too flashy, she's too pretty, she's too, how do you feel about that?
The ones that judge you.
That baby girl thing.
Yeah, there are people that don't know you personally. And one thing I'll tell people is that I am not Jesus. I represent Jesus. So the challenge that we have with most people when they are looking at church leaders, they expect we don't have humanity. But divinity does not dismiss humanity. So I'll just tell people
what does that mean? Just break it down. You have statements. Divinity does not define.
It does not dismiss humanity. So when I say divinity does not dismiss humanity, what I mean in simple words is that just because I have the calling of God on my life by the election of grace, that does not dismiss I'm also a human being. And as Natasha, I'm also a person that will do skincare, that will get tired. Like now you can, unasikia niko na homa, I have a flu, So that is what I'm saying. We are still human. But the challenge we have, especially for church leaders, when people see us as women of God, as men of God, they want to put us on the pedestals of perfection. They want to assume you're Jesus. So I always tell my members, our sons and daughters, I am not Jesus. I represent Jesus. I am just like a messenger with a message, a vessel. So after being, besides the calling of God, where I am the oracle of God, I am a pastor. I pastor an amazing church, Empowerment Christian Church Nairobi, ECC Nairobi. I'm also a human being. I'm a baby girl that wants to be spoiled, that wants to be loved correctly, that wants flowers, that wants to enjoy good music, good food. So we are still human beings, and that is one thing I want people to know. We are not Jesus. We represent Jesus. That means,
All right.
So for those people that say ati makeup nini, I just think those are people that are just.
These are the people around you. Sorry to cut you short. They always take care of you like a baby girl. They take care of you like a baby girl. Okay, so you're saying it should continue being.
Yeah, it should continue because it all depends with somebody's preference. Just like for you as a news anchor, there are some news anchors that have this particular style. We all can't be the same. But at the end of the day, you have to live to your authentic self. And that is what I've always wanted to be. I don't want to be the next so-and-so. I want to be the oracle or the Natasha that God created me to be.
Hey, you know, whenever you talk, I feel like Chayani we're in church. You know, it's like I'm preaching. All right, so we know what I want us to understand is that at what point did you hear the call of God to go into ministry and decide to leave everything about the world? I'm sure there's a time you were just a girly girl making mistakes here and there, maybe dating the wrong people, doing, you know, but then at what point did you decide, okay, you know what, I've heard him and I want to leave everything behind and I want to follow him? And how strong was it? Did it shock you? Did it, maybe, did it scare you?
Okay, the calling of God came very young, but at that time still I was under the I was still a young girl. I was 9 years of age, and at that age you don't even know so much. But I thank God my own biological mother is a pastor. My grandmother, I've told you previously, they are all in the pastoral ministry. So I am like a third generational pastor. But I started that journey and they really encouraged me together because I grew up in Mathare. So Bishop Gitonga was also like a father figure even in that time in terms of ministry. I grew up in Mathare.
Come on now. Baby girl, you know, lifestyle thing. So you grew up in Mathare?
I actually grew up in Mathare, and thank God we don't look like where we came from. But that is where the beginning of my life, my ministry, everything started there. But going back to the issue of ministry before even I talk about Mathare, it is at the age of 19 that I decided, you know, though I was preaching in children crusades, you know, under the guidance, of course, of mentors, my own mother that believed in the calling of God that was upon my life. It is at the age of 19 that I had this clear conviction in my heart after an encounter with Jesus. I first had an encounter when I was 9. I was too young to understand, but the only physical thing that happened at 9, I was born a stammerer, is that I realized, you know, after that encounter, God restored my speech and gave me the ability to communicate effectively. But at 19 years of age,
Wait, you mean at 9 you're a stammerer?
Yes, I stammered my whole life, all my childhood.
And so maybe some people actually were like, now this one will never talk.
Yeah, me, I can. Kwanza even just saying mom, I was like, ma, I was a shy kid.
Oh no.
You know when you can't speak, you can't articulate. And I was schooling in Salama Primary in Huruma. You know, I was this kid that was always behind the scenes because I don't even want to be told, because kids would laugh, they would make fun, you know. So, but it's at that age of 9, but at 19 years, I made that conscious decision and I told my mom, regardless of what I will pursue, I feel ministry is also going to be part of my assignment. But when I started, Betty, I started from very humble beginnings. Today, people see us preaching around the world. But those days, the invitations were in the village where my grandmother is a pastor. So, and it was through recommendations because, of course, there was no Facebook, there was no social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, even to showcase your gifting or your calling. So I remember those days, ni kuparara. Unaenda unatoka hapa, unaingia Akamba bus. You've been invited to Kisumu, and it was not easy in the beginning, Betty. I had a lot of discouraging, you know, there are a lot of things that discouraged me that, you know, I was not called to do this because we would go some places when people see how young you are, maybe you get a recommendation, this pastor calls this pastor, oh, this evangelist is on fire, you know, she can come. The minute I arrive, because they've not seen my face, they are like, I remember one time, Mom, I had just finished preaching in Voi. So this pastor calls another pastor, akamwambia, there is a young evangelist, she's on fire, she's been a blessing, can she come and also be a blessing? So he said, all right, let her come. Do you know, by the time we arrived, it was in Kisumu, by the time we arrived there to minister, the bishop, I called him, I said, oh, we have already arrived. So he said, I'm sending my driver immediately to come and pick you. You come to the office, we meet, then you start the ministration tomorrow. When the driver arrived that they are Kamba. It was me and my personal assistant at that time that I was still training, because when I started ministry, my mother said, when you travel, don't just travel alone.
Yes, yes.
You know, just travel, have somebody.
To help you.
Yeah, at least you can be able to be together. When the driver came, he went around 3 times. He called the bishop, he said, there are no preachers here. Kuparara, vumbi.
Watu wako wapi? Sioni watu hapa, sioni preachers.
Imagine, oh my God.
Oh my, but I hope, of course, that did not demoralize you.
No, it really, to some extent, because when I called the bishop back, I said, can you just give him my number to call my number directly? And that time there was no WhatsApp. It was like, you can imagine I was 19.
Yes.
So the driver calls me, I'm like, Nisisi. He was shocked. He takes us to the bishop. No, this was worse. The bishop said, between the two of you, who is Natasha? And I'm like, you know, Bishop, I'm so honored to be here. He cancelled the hotel reservation he had made for us based on appearance. That is the day I realized people are respecters of persons. It's only God that sees on the inside. Then he said, tomorrow you'll not even preach. Tomorrow you'll only greet the people.
Look at you. Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine?
Oracle. You know, I think you posted this picture and I was like, no, this is not her. Angalia vile skirt.
Imagine. So now if you see me slaying, please allow me to slay. Because Betty, the people that judge us, they don't even know our story.
Where we've come from.
Yeah.
Hiyo ulikuwa unawaambia nini?
Hapa kwanza nilikuwa Eldoret.
Kama ningekuamini.
Haki nakwambia nilikuwa Eldoret. You know?
Oh my.
So,
anyway,
no, this is how I looked. And when I went on stage, Bishop akasema, you can't preach. Akaniambia salamia. But when he gave me the mic, those 5 minutes he gave me, I preached like a dying prophet. Then after that he said, continue. We are sorry there was misunderstanding because of age and na look.
Na look.
Saizi tukipiga luku, acha tupige luku.
By the way, acheni tu rev apige tu luku. No. But you know, coming from where you've come from.
Yes.
How do you normally balance, you know, being this vibrant, sassy, you know, full of life kind of preacher, and the one that, you know, Kenyans wamezoea, you know, how, of course, there's so many critics who say like, no, which souls can she convert into heaven? Like, how do you normally balance being yourself and also being that serious person on the pulpit who can change lives, who can make people feel inspired and everything else?
You know, Betty, you are not called for everybody. So, and that is one thing that I know for sure. And I know that God has called me for this generation. And I've always felt it in my heart that our generation is our responsibility. So for me, I am not like focused, because I don't sell ice cream. So of course I can't be loved by everybody, you know. So I'm aware of that. And I know there are so many people out there that will always be committed to misunderstanding you, because the way my grandmother preached is not the same way I preach. The way my mother, syllabus inabadilika. Na syllabus inakimbia sana. You know, because the gospel has not changed, but the way we present the gospel to our generation has changed. For example, my grandmother has never been on the social media platforms. We are there. They've never used a screen. They've never used PowerPoint while preaching. They've never used an iPad, a tablet, projectors, you know, projectors. Times have changed. As we are modern, we are digital, and if you are not updated, you'll be outdated. So for me, I don't really focus on those that are committed to misunderstanding me, because you'll always find those people that will say it has always been done like this. And they will not allow you to be you. And at the end of the day, I don't live to the standard of people's perfection. I judge myself based on the word, and as long as I'm good with the Lord, I'm good with my hobby, I'm good with my conscience, I'm okay with it.
All right, we're coming to the hobby in a few minutes, but there's something that, you know, when I posted the Lord, you know, that we're doing the whole week, we've been making noise online.
Oh my God.
You know, one of the things is like, how does she make her money? How is she able to have all these entourages and people who work with her? They travel together to, you know, the US of A, everywhere around the world. How does she fund all these things? Many people are like, Ama, how does it happen? Maybe if you do, would you want to say something about that?
That is also a very good, it's a valid question. And the reason why it's a valid question is because we have nothing to hide. And as I said, I was raised in the slums of Mathare. I grew in the slums of Mathare. That is my history. But it does not determine my destiny. I was born in the slums, but the slums was not in me. And, you know, growing up, the first thing that I did is that I wanted to be the first person in my family to rewrite the history of my family, that where my father, where my mother did not reach, because I'm the firstborn, that I would be the first person to break the shackles of poverty. I can tell you, Betty, I was the first person in my family even to travel abroad. And when I say abroad, it was not that time in US or UK, ilikuwa South Africa. And I remember even getting that first air ticket and that first invitation to go to South Africa. We could not even comprehend when they were saying you have to check in, because we thought when you go to the airport, you go straight to the aircraft. So when they were talking about check-in, you know, and I remember that first flight, but I said, Lord, help me to rewrite. I remember even on that flight, I didn't even eat anything. They were asking me, it was a Kenya Airways flight, beef or chicken. I'm like, I'm good, you know, because we had no exposure. But today, by the special grace of God, I've traveled to over 50 nations around the world. I started in the slums. I started preaching in cities, in villages, in towns. So it was from glory to glory. Then now I started receiving international invitations. So going to the question of how I make my money, number one, as God started now to establish me in ministry, getting invitations, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Congo. By then I was selling DVDs, you know, like the messages that, that we have. That was the time of DVD, CDs. Then the Lord spoke to me and he said, all these messages, instead of carrying DVDs, why can't you turn them into a book? And that is when I started the journey of writing books. I've written 12 books in total, so that is one stream of avenue. So I am an author. My books, you don't even just have to buy them when you come to our resource center at ECC Nairobi. You can buy them on Amazon, on iBooks. Number two, I also have a YouTube channel. I celebrated over 500,000 subscribers, you know. So, and our YouTube channel is also monetized. We earn over $10,000 every month. That is also another stream of income. And I just want to encourage any content creator outside there. Make sure that you put your content out there. You don't need anybody to give you the platform or the stage. You can create, you can captivate, and you can conquer your territory. Just make sure your content is either educational, entertaining, or empowering, like for me. Then also, I'm a businesswoman. I'm a businesswoman. I deal with real estate. I deal with transport. So I'm also into the area of business. Then number four, I'm also a motivational speaker that is invited globally in international conferences. When they invite you, even the Bible is clear. In every labor, there should be profit. So when they invite you, I was recently in the US for 3 conferences in Arlington, Texas, in New York, and also in California. They also invite us. My husband is also into business. So we are doing so many things, just like the Apostle Paul. He was a tent maker and a man of God. So, but I'm sure when people see a pastor that is successful, they automatically assume offerings. I wish people can just come one day and gather and just count the offerings. Also, and see how much it is. Because people think that it's so easy or it's a walk in the park. Also, we have international partners that partner and support our, and I appreciate all the Kenyans of goodwill and all our international, and all our, because all our services are live streamed online on Facebook, on YouTube. So there are those partners that support, because our ministry is divided into 3. That is the Natasha Hands of Compassion, ECC Nairobi, and the Global Outreach Ministry. And we have so many partners that support us as well.
All right. I mean, okay, that's a lot.
So wash hata sijui.
Unajua mimi sinasikianga ni ngumu kujua hata nafanywa aje. So okay, so you know, or we're running out of time, but there's something very important we have to speak about. Mr. Stanley Carmel, your husband. First of all, you guys met, you met online?
Yes, on Instagram.
He went on the DM. Aliingia DM.
Yes,
alicheza ka yeye. Trust, like, okay, how did you trust somebody who's so far away? He was in India at that time.
No, he was in, the first time he ever saw me, he was in India, but then he relocated to Canada. But you know, he DM'd me. His DM was not like one of those messages.
So unajua zile zingine
zake zilikuwa 2 years.
Kuna kwanga zile zingine za Instagram, you just like shut it down. So him, so how first did you trust him?
Yeah.
Maybe very quickly.
Yeah, so very quickly, just to talk about my hubby, and I thank God for him because this is a man that compliments me after, you know, I had always believed God to give me this kind of a man that will not complicate but will support my assignment, you know, a man that will stand with me. He slid into my DM, but of course it took me 2 years. He was very persistent.
Okay.
Persistence outweighs resistance. He kept on encouraging me, sending me messages until I was like, who is this handsome Indian guy? You know, I was like, Ebu, let me just see. So I responded to him, and when I responded to him, he said, you know, it has been almost over, you know, that time it was almost 2 years, you know, and I always keep on sending you messages, nini. Then I told him, you know, I was so busy, I was traveling. Then he said, I want to meet you in person, you know. So I told him, of course, that time I was going to the US. He said, I'm flying in to come and meet you. So when we met, everything else became history. We just connected, we complimented each other, though we are from different cultures. Of course, he's from India, and I'm from here in Kenya. Our cultures are so different, but the love brought us together. The calling we have, our vision just aligned.
And okay, lastly, the long distance marriage, you know, already a relationship is hard.
Yeah.
Very quickly, how do you handle that?
You know, okay, I know for now our marriage is a long distance marriage because we meet as often as we can.
Okay.
He was here just recently. We were with him in the US. He was here in March for my brother's wedding. He was here for Chris. We always meet as often as we can, but we still live in different continents. He lives in Canada, I live here. But it takes commitment, compromise. It takes a lot of communication because it is communication that brings understanding. And he's a man that has really brought a lot of fulfillment in my life. Even when we fight, this is the person that I feel, you know, at the end of the day, he'll just come big spoon me and calms me down. Nainaisha. You know, he's that kind of a guy. Mapenzi ya waindi ni moto moto.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So unfortunately, we ran out of time. The last part in short to all the fans who are watching. We will do this again and again and again. So what is it that you'd want to tell some people who love you so much, because you have a lot of you know, friends online, admirers, fans. Of course, the haters will always be there. Like, but you can maybe the last message.
So which camera?
This one.
Oh, this one. All right.
Yes.
So I'll give 2 messages. Number 1 message to our nation, Kenya. Remember, we have one nation, and my message to all Kenyans is that let's build our nation. We have no other home. We have no other place. So wherever you are, and I'm urging all the political leaders, let's not preach the message of disunity or divisive politics. Let's unite our nation. And that is the prayer I have. And secondly, to those that are in relationship, because I'm dealing with a lot of mental health, especially amongst our generation. You know, I want you to let go of toxic relationships. When toxic people leave your life, toxic things stop happening. And when right people come into your life, right things begin to happen. 3 signs to know if you're in a toxic relationship. If there is manipulation and control, if there is manipulation and control, if you're in a relationship whereby your emotions are dictated, I just want you to let go of those relationships. And I just want to pray for you that God will connect you to the right people. So connect. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of people you connect with.
Woo! Amen. I can't even add or take away anything. Oh my goodness, Oracle, Rev, it's been so lovely having you.
Wow.
It was a short, I couldn't even believe how much I wanted to talk to you, but then you know what? We'll find other avenues to do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, but stay here with me, don't go yet. So, yes, so we want to cross over live and direct to Kisii County for Willis Ocheng, who's on standby. Let's do this. All right, that was so powerful. I'm still overwhelmed. But one of the most important components of the show, again, is, of course, my friend, very good friend, joining us from Kisii County, Willis Ocheng. We, umesikia hiyo, tumeambiwa na tumeambiwa.
Betty, that is a very powerful communicator, very eloquent, effective, and emphatic. In fact, I always say Africa has some very wonderful daughters and sons who should be celebrated. She is one of them in terms of communication.
Absolutely, Willis. I have enjoyed every bit of that. So let's get straight to our assignments tonight. Let me begin with the words that I have, and then we're also going to listen to what words he selected. So this one, let me spell it out. It's V-A-C-W-M. Willis, say vacuum. How do we say that, Willis?
Yes. Betty, you can say vacuum, vacuum, but you can also say vacuum. Vacuum, not very common locally, but it is acceptable. Vacuum or vacuum.
Okay, that is a serious surprise, Willis. Umenza on a high note. So it's, I think from now on I'll be using vacuum. Moving on to this other word, Willis. So do we say, it's actually on the screen, do we say uncertainty, uncertainty? How do we go about that particular one?
Betty, this is a very common mistake. Many people innocently say uncertainty, uncertainty. That ni, it's not there. It's an intrusive letter, and even the sound. You say uncertainty, uncertainty or uncertainty, but not uncertainty. Just like certainty, not certainty. So niti, no. We should avoid that, especially in careers of serious communication.
Okay, Willis, got it. That's also another surprise. Moving on to this other word. So this one is serious. So do we say chapel or do we say chapel or chapel? How do we go about that one, Willis?
Betty, what we see is chapel. So locally, most languages are pronounced according to the spelling of a word. But now, when you come to English, such a word, you don't say chapel. You say chapel. Chapel with what we call consonant cluster at the end, p. That p or sound p and l. So you say chapel, just like gospel, not gospel. Channel, not channel. So we should avoid channel, gospel, chapel. We say channel, gospel, and chapel. That is the best way to go in terms of correct or accurate pronunciation.
All right, Willis, thank you for that. Those were my two, the three actually difficult words. Let's go to what you have for us, Willis, tonight.
Yes, Betty, I'll be a bit fast because I know time is really running, but I'll begin with a surprise because I know since we always learn like brothers and sisters, I really like the eloquence of that preacher, the wonderful preacher from image to communication. But now, we would say invitation, not invitation. You also say poverty, poverty, not poverty. Then determine, determine, not determine. And lastly, divisive, not divisive politics, divisive. But what we have to learn is not even Willis, that is myself, can be spotless or perfect. So, but we just learn as we always do it. But I love the way that lady can express herself very clearly. Kenya has some wonderful people. Now, we come to this word for our tongues. We have remuneration. Remuneration, not remuneration, and not remuneration. New, no. Mu, yes. Remuneration. So, we should avoid talking of remuneration or remuneration. Then we go now to Damaris Katunju. Katunju of Nairobi, you say prejudice and recuse, to recuse. Then we have recusant and recusal. Titus Bravo of Bahati Nakuru, we have tribal and tribally. Then orchid, lastly, orchard. But last week, you asked about stabilize. Then we have Malachi Njoroge of Udhiru, you say solemn and dam. Enoch Otieno of Bondo, alias, not alias. Liaise, not liars. And then liaison, not liaison, as we commonly say locally. Then the second last person, Sandra Kawera of Nairobi, you say affidavit, not affidavit. Then you say reprieve, a reprieve, not a reprieve, the way many people find themselves saying. Lastly, Atieno at Duchess of Kisumu. Atieno, you say against, not against. Against, common but wrong. Amongst, not amongst or amongst. No, amongst. Lastly, amidst, amidst. Then we go straight, Betty, to our surprise word for tonight. Many people innocently say quarry. In fact, I don't know how we got to quarry. Quarry, locally, if you can say marigiti for market, locally it's fine. But when you're speaking English, we avoid saying marigiti for market, we say market. Then when you come to this word, we say quarry. The quarry, that place where large stones are dug out of the ground, you say the quarry. Quarry. Otherwise, let me cap it all that if you want to ask us questions, you can just go straight to, that is X or Twitter, and you use this handle at Willis Ochieng 1. Because of time, I have to take you back to Betty Kialo in Nairobi. That wonderful image of Betty and the wonderful image of Natasha has been a surprise to Willis tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm happy that we surprised you from Nairobi. Well, ladies and gentlemen, of course, Willis Ochieng joining us from Kisii. And you know, he does such a fantastic job, well, in teaching us correct pronunciations like you had. We don't say chapel, we say chapel, gospel. And I don't know, Rev, umeelewa kitu hapo? Please come with me, we close the show together.
All right, thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, one day he taught me, you don't say tortoise, you say tortoise.
Wow.
Imagine. Wow. You don't say lettuce, you'll say lettuce.
Lettuce. I'm also learning.
You're also learning.
We never stop learning.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been such a fantastic show with my friend here, Reverend Natasha. Please just say good night.
Yeah, good night. We love you. And if you're in Nairobi, welcome for our Sunday service at ECC Nairobi.
I meant that. Thank you. All right. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. See you again next Friday, God willing. Bye.
Wow.